Your timing is always
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the April 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Hyde Park Planning Board. Please note all the exits on how to get out of the building should we need to, and please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to start with a continued public hearing. Bill Field.
Wow. Jennifer, you're so alone tonight.
Flying solo. Welcome.
I never thought I'd actually get the center seat. But
Don't give it up now.
Larry and Jared are both at a corporate retreat out of state, so I'm representing the group this evening. As you noted, this is a continued public hearing. At the last meeting, the board adopted a seeker determination with respect to final development plan amendment number 2, and it was noted then that we were going to the town board for a public hearing relating to the variations that were required to implement the plan. After the public hearing on the 24th, the town board did approve all of the requested variations. And I believe everyone's been given a copy of those. But in any event, after hearing any comments tonight, if there are any, we believe that the board would be in a position to consider approving the FDP plan with the usual conditions of proceeding for the rest of site plan review.
Very nice summary. May I get a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, so, yes, we're here just to clean this up and tidy it up so that you can be on your way. I don't know, I believe you were working with our consultants on the resolution. As of
Yes.
right now, they've left in all of the existing,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
which means, so I didn't make Chris do this one.
I saw that.
Spreading the pain on that one. But I'm going to just take a quick circle around and find out
Sure,
what
of
comments we
course.
have. Tad?
No comment.
Okay. Bonnie?
No comment.
Pete? Nothing. Victoria?
No new comments.
Okay. Mr. Gercio?
No comments.
Ms. Lee?
No comment from me.
Mr. Oliver?
No new comments.
Ms. Wasser?
I have a question.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, it's just something Dylan and I were talking about. The actual set of the plans, have they changed at all since we last? I just want a clarification on where we
cover
are with the
sheet-
plans that go with this.
So it was the original set of plans, where's the resolution? There was a cover sheet that was updated yesterday. So in the resolution that
Yep.
acknowledges
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cover sheet dated yesterday, but all the other plans are the ones that you last saw
Okay.
on March 26th this year.
The cover sheet has in bold the sheets that are.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have no comments.
Mr. Waters?
No comment at this time.
And Mr. Tuttle?
No comment at this time.
Great. We do have a resolution prepared. Can I ask if there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this application? Okay, there are no comments here. So may I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And we do have a resolution prepared this evening, and I believe I asked Mr. Tuttle to read
Yeah,
it.
I've got this one.
So, Dylan, if up to the board, but everything past the first resolve clause are the standard conditions that we've placed on all 3 iterations of the final development plan. So you
What
don't have to.
On page,
Where are
it's on
Starting on
page
page
4, and I
4.
think after this first, be it further resolved.
everything after that?
Right, it's the standard conditions that we've had on. So
And I certainly
you
waive
can
the
read in your
reading.
discretion or not.
And read at your discretion or not.
Can he make a statement such as, and the rest of the conditions are as they are pre-existing?
Remain unchanged?
Remain unchanged
Yeah, I
from
mean,
earlier.
it's the resolution
After
as
this one.
proposed and drafted, which
Because
we will
that's
be
specifics
adopting,
in
so.
preliminary construction phase.
And he can read
It's up to Mr. Tuttle.
Yeah.
Did you track that conversation, Dylan?
I've been prepping my lungs all day
Good,
for
good,
this.
good.
Read the whole thing, let's do it.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm settling in.
We'll do it right here. All right, everybody can settle in for a moment here. Okay. Resolution to approve amended final development plan, Belfield Final Development Plan Phase 2, Amendment Number 2, Lot 8. Date April 2nd, 2025, Resolution 2022-27H. Whereas, 2 pages of whereases, 3 pages of whereases. Now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves FDP Amendment Number 2 to be incorporated into the Phase 2 Final Development Plan set and authorizes the Chair or her authorized designee to sign the amended Final Development Plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1. Payment of all fees in escrow. 2. Revision of the building elevation to label Building 100 as Building 100/200. Be it further resolved that each construction phase, as indicated on the preliminary construction phasing plan prepared by Passaro Associates, dated January 13th, 2023, last revised March 13th, 2023, shall return to the Planning Board with plans at the appropriate scale for individual site plan approval, including but not limited to landscaping, lighting, and architectural renderings in accordance with the procedures in Article 9 of the Town of Hyde Park zoning law. Be it further resolved that before the zoning administrator may authorize the issuance of a building permit for any building on any approved construction phase of the amended final development plan set, the following conditions shall be met. 1. Proof of recordation with the Dutchess County Clerk of all required easements, including the stormwater easement and maintenance agreement related to the subject phase. 2. Site plan approval by the Planning Board of the corresponding construction phase, including satisfaction of all conditions of approval. 3. Proof of filing of the subdivision for the corresponding construction phase with the Dutchess County Clerk, if applicable. 4. Approval by Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health for methods of water supply and wastewater disposal for the corresponding construction phase. 5. Approval of Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority of water supply infrastructure for the corresponding construction phase. 6. For any construction phase of work that will use construction access over West Dorsey Lane, approval by the Town Board of a performance guarantee in an amount approved by the Town Engineer and Planning Board in form, substance, and manner of execution acceptable to the Town Attorney to secure the obligation to complete so much of the work listed in the estimate, including the July 26, 2019 memorandum from Town Engineer Pete Sotero, as may be updated by the Town Engineer from time to time after ongoing inspections and after completion of each construction phase, to the extent such work is determined to be necessary by the Town Highway Superintendent and New York State Department of Transportation, including a 2-inch compacted overlay, replacement of signal loops, sealing of existing cracks, and other associated work listed in the estimate on that portion of West Dorsey Lane between construction access and US Route 9 to the satisfaction of the Highway Superintendent and Department of Transportation, and posting of such bond. The Planning Board may approve the bond amount at a regular meeting as a regular item of business, and no public hearing is required. The Town Engineer shall have the authority to reevaluate the amount of the bond every 3 years. If the bond amount increases, any renewals thereafter shall be increased to the newly required amount. 7. The base and or binder course of the internal project private roads providing access to the proposed work shall have been installed pursuant to the applicable specifications approved by the Town Engineer and Town Board on January 23, 2023 to the satisfaction of the Town Engineer. 8. Approval by Fire District having jurisdiction over the construction phase of an emergency access plan. Be it further resolved that the following general conditions apply to the use of West Dorsey Lane for construction access, the West Dorsey Construction Access, or WDCA. 1. There shall be no deliveries from the east, and the applicant shall advise all contractors, subcontractors, vendors, and agents to approach the WDCA from Route 9. 2. The applicant shall post and maintain a sign at the exit for the WDCA to West Dorsey Lane indicating no left turn onto West Dorsey Lane eastbound from the construction entrance. 3. There shall be no further improvements to the WDCA, including the removal of vegetation, rock, earth, etc., unless authorized by the Highway Superintendent and Town Engineer to satisfy any safety concerns during construction. 4. The present authorization for use of the WDCA is limited to construction of FDP Phase 2, construction Phase 2A, and use for construction of any future phases or subphases shall be considered as part of site plan review for such future phases or subphases by the Planning Board in consultation with the Highway Superintendent. 5. The applicant and its contractors shall ensure that the entrance to West Dorsey Lane from the site is kept clean and free of dirt and dust at all times. 6. The WDCA shall be closed each night at the conclusion of work with a gate with Knox box emergency access facilitated for fire and emergency services. Be it further resolved that before the zoning administrator may issue a certificate of occupancy for any building in the amended final development plan set, the following conditions have been satisfied. 1. If the Town Engineer and Highway Superintendent determine that repair work is needed to the area of West Dorsey Lane designated in the July 26, 2019 memorandum from Town Engineer Pete Sotero, as may be updated by the town engineer from time to time after ongoing inspections and after completion of each construction phase, to the extent such work is determined to be necessary by the town highway superintendent and New York State Department of Transportation, including, if required, a 2-inch compacted overlay, replacement of signal loops, sealing of existing cracks, and other associated work listed in the estimate on that portion of West Dorsey Lane between the WDCA and US Route 9 to the satisfaction of the highway superintendent. In the event that the highway superintendent and town engineer determine that work is required, but completion of any portion of such work described is not then possible based on weather conditions, and the applicant has satisfied all other conditions of CO issuance, the CO shall be issued based on the previously filed performance security for the work, and the applicant shall complete such work as soon as possible in the following spring. The extended time for performance based on weather conditions shall not exceed 6 months from the issuance of the CO. Performance guarantee shall not be released until the highway superintendent and the town engineer have advised that the required work described herein has been satisfactorily completed. Be it further resolved that the following general conditions shall apply to all work performed pursuant to the amended final development plan set. 1. All construction and site work shall comply with the SWIP and with the Speedy's general permit for stormwater discharges from construction activity and shall be properly maintained in compliance with all permits. 2. All construction and site work shall comply with the noise mitigation plan dated December 22nd, 2017 as determined applicable by the town engineer. 3. Continued compliance with all requirements of the zoning law, the approved final concept plan, and the amended seeker findings statement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Looking
We
forward to
appreciate-
seeing you back on this.
I think we'll be back on the next meeting.
And Jennifer,
Right, this is true, it's for subdivision.
It
That's
wouldn't be a
right.
meeting without you.
this went much smoother with just you being here by yourself,
I'll mention that to them.
you know?
Have a safe trip
And
home.
thank you very much for the thoroughness and the cooperation that the board has shown. We really appreciate it.
Everybody here is great. Thank you. All right. Nice job, Mr. Tuttle.
Next time, maybe I'll skip all that.
You should be an auctioneer.
I know.
Second career is reading like the small print for drug commercials.
You can tell I did theater in high school.
All right, there are no more public hearings, so the next item on the agenda is Al's Yard Salvage and Auto and Hoteling Lot Line Alteration. Might as well come on up and we'll do both of them.
Here I am. Good evening. I'm Marie Welch from Welch Surveying in Red Hook, representing Allen Hoteling for his lot line alteration and his site plan. I will tell you, I was surprised to see that I was on the agenda. I didn't know we were still going through the zoning board for variances, and I thought we had to get them before we came back to the planning board. So I'm here, I guess, just to bring you up to speed.
And for everybody here to come back up to speed.
Okay.
Yep.
So, whoever is not familiar with Al's Garage, or not Al's Garage, that's Al's Yard. It's over on Beck Road, 7 Beck Road, and he has a scrap yard where he brings in cars for, eventually they're going to be shipped out for, bless you. You know, he stores them there until it's time to ship them to wherever they're going to go. And he's had site plans approved in the past. There have been a few changes to the law since he came in last. Tom Cummings was working on his site plan, and they needed an updated survey to put the site plan over because everything was so out of date. So I came on board to do the updated survey. I had actually surveyed the property for Al a while ago. So we did do the survey. We did incorporate the site plan into the survey, and there were a couple concerns dealing with side yard setback, rear yard setback, and just other things that needed to be addressed. So we were going to address some of the concerns by changing the lot line. Since Al owns the lot to the north, he could take some land from that lot and increase the lot to the south. That's the one to the north is 11 Beck Road. And part of it had to do with a lean-to that he built for his tow truck, that he could keep it out of the winter weather and have room to park it. So, and they actually built it over the line. When we determined through the survey that it was encroaching, he was asked to cut it off so that it was not encroaching, but it still would have been in violation of the side yard setback. So we have proposed the lot line change to address the side yard setback. He's also been asked to bring into compliance his pool and pool house and pool deck. And in doing the survey and showing them on the survey, it appears that the deck on the pool is 1.6 feet too close to the property line. So we're going to ask for a variance for that as well. I did explain in the notes I sent to the zoning board secretary today, there's a stone wall there that I'm sure they assumed was the property line. Well, at that particular location, the wall veers a little bit off the line. And they probably just measured 25, said, okay, we're good, put it in. And unfortunately, when I came back and did the correct survey, determined that it's, so we're asking for a variance for that. So that pretty much addresses the lot line alteration. And then we're also dealing with the site plan. We've gotten some comments, I believe, from the town planner, and we're taking them under advisement and making those changes that they've requested. We will be showing the berms on the property. Probably will ask to waive topography because we're not changing any of the topography really on the site, other than he's piping a intermittent stream, and most of that's been done already. So we will show that, the piping, but I'd like to ask to waive, and we'll do it through the application, the fact, I think there's only about 2 10-foot contours. I think it was 10-foot contours they requested. I don't think there's not a 20-foot change from one end of the property to the other. So I'm not sure that, and like I said, we're not proposing any changes to the existing site. So unless there's anything else, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions anybody may have, or I know a couple things that were brought to my attention. We didn't have the right signature block, so we were working on that today. But I didn't want to submit new maps tonight because you have no chance to review them. Right. And I kind of assumed that this meeting was maybe now, because we are making progress with the ZBA, that we would be able to schedule a public hearing for the lot line changes. Am I?
We are getting very close to that, yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, this is good because this, when you first came before us over a year ago, it seemed like a myriad of issues that we couldn't quite wrap our arms around it. But I think you have done a great job of identifying each one of them and how each one of them is being addressed. And I know that the site plan that we're going to be looking at and the lot line alteration will help to get everything into compliance that's needed.
That's the goal.
But there's still work to be done.
Yes.
And so we're very happy to hear that the ZBA is getting closer.
Yeah, they actually did a site visit last week or the week before. They were happy with what has been addressed.
That's
So,
great. That's
yeah.
great. We're also going to be asking for a site visit.
Sure.
Apparently, we do like to walk these local businesses.
Yeah.
They're also different. They're also different. I'm going to start with Tad. You may have a fairly long list.
Not too long.
Okay.
I just wanted to make certain, there was some question from the ZBA secretary, the storage containers and the lean-to are accessory to the building that was constructed, so they only require half the setback, so that variance is no longer needed.
Oh.
So that's a good thing. Pete and I were just at another location today regarding some changing of contours on a site. So I'm not sure that waiving entirely, if you have the 10-foot line, I think we should put that on the plan.
That's very different than if the whole site was.
Yes, and not 2-foot contours, but.
Right, right. And since there is an intermittent stream, that might also help to highlight where that's going. Anything else?
No.
Great. Ms. Franson, I know you sent out a review memo. Thank you so much.
I did, so I think the applicant, you have a copy of the memo.
I do.
And it's our comments as well as a compilation of other comments that we get at the workshop discussions. And really, a lot of the comments flow from the fact that we just reviewed another salvage yard, East Park, Wilbert's Auto. So that's why you'll see questions about EV battery storage,
Well, I know that Al did
screening.
have a separate
Yes.
Yeah.
container that he was going to put EVs in
Yeah, okay.
because of the fact that they're so dangerous when they do catch fire.
Right, so I think, just adding that information, notating, and I think in looking at the plan, we had a discussion that you're showing kind of little individual blocks for cars.
Right, and that was so that I assumed you needed a count, and I did that because the engineer, Tom Cummings, had done that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, they must need to have a certain count, and so here I'm showing, because he didn't have his to scale either. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and straighten this out, try and, because as you say, they aren't going to park them in
No.
those spaces, I understand that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show that if we had to, we could get this many cars on the site.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever approaches that number, but.
Yeah, I think what is especially important, and again, kind of going through this with the prior application, is really where the cars, a parking area, and then show clearly a flow for aisles. So, someone has to come into the site, how would they maneuver around, from emergency service purposes, and then the buffer.
I think Al has talked to the fire department,
Okay.
and he has a letter from them, but I'll double check with that, so we need to, all right, flow of traffic.
We still need to show where the aisles are intended
Yes.
to be.
Right,
Yeah. So, and I don't want to get into all the, the
Details.
minutia, but I think those are the big ticket items, aisles, where the parking areas will be, and then the screening and the buffers. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Sotero?
I don't really have that much. I did go by the site a week or so ago, and they've done a really nice job cleaning up out there from when I saw it years ago. But I think based upon the site that Tad and I went to today, and Al's site is a much smaller site, so I don't really see this happening, but I think I'm just going to ask them to put some, and I'll write something on it, that I don't think he's planning on, like regrading anything out there. I think it's, the contour, so maybe just like a note like that. I'll write something down so you
Okay.
can put them on there, and then I assume that, the surface is going to remain gravel or
Yeah, I was gonna
dirt,
say, because I
whatever it
noticed
is.
one of the comments from the planner talked about impermeable surface, and I think the only place that is in between the house and the buildings,
Okay.
where there's that small area.
So we
of
may
ground.
just have you put a note that it's not, that
Not
things
gonna
are going to
pave it.
remain, because if
Yep.
it's going to be, like pervious, then it'll create additional runoff into, the stream. And I didn't really look at the maps that good, like Marie, but where he's piping, the stream, is the pipe shown on your plans?
We showed it up till where it was built at the time we did our survey. He has
Okay.
since piped in some more of it, and so my intention is to go back out and get any other changes that have been made since the last time we were out there
Okay.
to put on
Is he piping it right up to somebody else's property?
his own. He owns the lot on the south as well.
Now, does that lot go all the way to Dorsey?
No,
Okay, so
the drainage is already flowing down there.
no,
Once you-
I know that, but I guess I don't.
I think he's just piping it to his other property line.
I think, though, once you pipe it, we might need him to create an easement, because if he ever sells that lot, he's got water going on to someone else's, being piped onto someone
Right.
else's
Well,
lot.
but I think, and again, I'll look at the map, I'm sorry, but I think what you're saying is, he owns, the salvage yard, he's piping it through the salvage yard. The next property down is his, which he's not piping it through his
No.
property. It's gonna be remaining as open
Yes.
there, so,
But he can
And
sell that
actually,
lot.
it kind of flattens out there. It's like, having been through that yard as well, because
Yeah.
I've surveyed that, it's not, like, there's not a channel. Once it gets down there is really where it kind of seeps
Yeah.
into the ground.
yeah.
So,
I mean, we might wanna, I think, we can talk about it, but maybe there should be an easement in case he ever wants to sell
well,
that.
and the problem is, from having been to other conferences and whatnot, you can't give yourself an easement, because you already have all the
Well, no, the
rights
easement would be
inherent
given
with a
to
piece of
the-
property.
Well,
to
I
the
mean, aren't they
adjoining-
owned by in different fee
No,
titles?
they're all three properties are owned by Allen Hoteling and Paul Schoonmaker.
Well, he could do a declaration.
Well, we can, let's,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to, and that's fine. I think maybe we'll just want like a note that says he's not going to pipe it through
Or that
the
in the
next
event,
property, because I wouldn't want it to be piped right onto somebody else's property. and
Really,
then
he
they
can't
get-
do that, yeah.
Yeah, because technically, if you're gonna pipe it versus
You're-
like a swale, it's gonna get there faster, blah,
Right,
blah, blah.
you're increasing the rate
But
of
as long
flow.
as it had, maybe it's got an opportunity, like to dissipate like a little bit and whatever.
Like you say, we could cover with a
We'll
note
be
that in the
fine.
event that he sells the property, he may need to create an
Yeah, we'll
easement.
come up with something. We'll work
Okay.
together with Victoria. So, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Ms. Polidoro.
Nothing else at this time.
Okay. I'm going to start to my left again. Mr. Garcia.
No comments at this time.
Ms. Lee.
Yeah, no comments. Yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. Oliver.
No comments. Thank you.
Ms. Wasser.
No comments.
Mr. Waters.
Just thank you for the explanation of things that you're going to be rectifying. So,
You're
thank
welcome. You're welcome.
And Mr. Tuttle.
Similar, appreciate the discussion, but no comments from me
Okay.
right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's probably good that you did not prep a new set of plans, because that's another reason why we wanted to talk tonight, so
Yeah.
we could,
Yeah, because we had the letter from.
yeah, and we
planner.
could articulate better what we're looking
Yeah,
for
no, that
on the
makes-
final plan sets. It doesn't make sense to do this interim one that doesn't meet what we're asking for.
Yep.
And, the other big thing is we also would like to schedule a site walk.
Okay.
And, now that it's nicer weather and it
Until
gets
today.
lighter later, we may not be limited to the weekends, but I'm not sure exactly. So if you could work with Cynthia to find a time, that would be great, because.
Well,
then that
I know
would-
Al is very flexible. I'm probably almost as flexible. So it's
Great.
kind of however many of the board
Okay,
members
great.
wanted to come, when you can get together.
Yep, yep.
As,
That's awesome.
we can
Thank
work
you.
around it.
Great. So we'll figure something out. Maybe we can get a visit in the next week or so.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right, so let me see.
We're setting a public hearing.
Yes, I'm looking, we've covered now both the site plan and the lot line alterations, so we can I get a motion to set a public hearing? Now, would you like it for May 7th or the May 21st? Because you're going to need to incorporate what we're,
You see, we don't know what we're going to have from the zoning board. Why don't we do the 21st?
okay. Then can I get a motion to set a public hearing for Al's Yard Hoteling lot line alteration for May 21st, 2025?
So moved.
And I'm not going to be here at the
All in favor, please say aye.
Can't celebrate it.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Yes, we're getting closer.
And the public hearing, you don't set a time for that. It's just they come and
We
order.
say 6 o'clock.
Okay. And
Because
then
we put all
whatever
we
is
put all
heard.
the public hearings first.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Hudson Valley Hospice House. Hello, haven't seen you in a while.
Good evening.
Please introduce yourself.
It's already in there, you just have to pick it with the mouse, or you can use them.
Or you can use the,
Do I need to introduce myself?
yes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Kaminsky. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of Hudson Valley Hospice. And we are applying to increase the number of parking spaces for the Hudson Valley Hospice House. We built, if I recall correctly, 29 for the building, and we assumed that would be enough. Didn't really know. Took a guess. We opened the building in December of 2023 with only 8 beds. It was built for 14 beds, but because of the difficulties of hiring staff, we decided to wait to open the entire facility until we had sufficient staff, which took us all of 2024 to build up the staff, so that we opened the final 6 beds in January of this year. And once that happened, we realized that we didn't have enough spaces because we have an open policy for visitors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we would get into situations where many of the visitors were parking on the driveway. Not all the time, but often enough that we recognize that this is a problem. So we came to the town and we're asking for 15 more spaces to be built on the southeast portion of the site, which is around, if you're looking at the site from Violet Avenue, it's over on the right-hand side, sort of behind the building. So we'll have, the plan is to have our staff park in those spaces so that the spaces closer to the front entrance to the building would be for visitors. So, yeah, so that's the existing.
These are the new spaces here.
Right.
There, and then over here.
Should we go to another plan? This is the
In this area, the buildings,
Too small to see.
entrance road, and then the parking spaces.
Oh, they put them on one sheet. Okay, sorry.
Can you see it?
Not really, but
We have the plan.
we looked at the plan. I mean,
Oh, okay,
we
all right.
received the plans. I know I looked at
You can
them.
blow it up top, Michelle, there's the
Little
There's
plus
the-
sign up there.
sign.
Ah.
So it's
There you go.
spaces here, and then down here, there's some slope, there's a slope right here. The existing light will stay, there's existing bushes, they'll stay. The existing light will stay, the existing bushes will stay. So it's just it'll just be going into the previously disturbed area.
So you're keeping the landscape and the lighting
Yes.
and working around that to put the 15
Right,
spaces.
so it's only the 15 spaces in an area that was already, had been graded when the original was built.
Okay.
And what's there now? It's just empty?
Just lawn.
It's lawn. Okay. Okay.
And
Approved?
we need to get an area variance, so we would like to be able to figure out when we can apply for that as soon as possible to apply for it.
Is that for the number of spaces?
The scale,
Scale.
not, so,
By putting those in, that would increase your scale.
yes.
So once you have the calculation, that can go in any time.
Okay, yeah, I did the calculation, I just wanted to check here to make sure there weren't any thing before he paid money for the ZBA.
Yep. No, that works. That
Okay,
works.
so I'll get that application.
Okay. So basically, as soon as you calculate that, then that's all you need to fill out the application, to go to the ZBA, to start the process
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Okay.
I've done the calculation now, I just have to do the paperwork.
Okay. All right. Is there
That's
anything
it?
else? Okay. So I'm going to ask Tad to weigh in on if there's any other items to be looked at.
I think the application's clear. We're going to have to consider impervious surface. There aren't a whole lot of spaces, but, you know, you still have to look at the numbers regarding the pond.
And where is the pond that, because I remember we moved that, right? We moved the pond.
It's kind of in between. Go ahead, Michelle.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
We did-
okay,
we
it's
did-
all-
Spaces
Yeah,
right here.
we didn't move it,
It's still in the same place.
yeah.
And also, if the town would like, we could put permeable pavers in so that we don't have the impervious.
For the new spaces, you're talking about the
Yeah, for the new spaces.
permeable pavers?
If that's what the town wants, sure,
Oh, okay.
sure.
That's all.
Okay. Pete?
Yeah, so the proposal right now is for 15 parking spaces, and, you know, they did a beautiful job out there. The building is beautiful. We had a meeting there a few weeks ago, and, you know, they do need more parking. It was tough to find parking when we were there, so they do definitely need it. But the proposal is for 15 paved parking spots, which, as Tad said, will create some additional impervious surfaces. So, I need to bring the board up to speed. Over the past year, some of the downstream property owners have experienced some significant flooding, and based upon investigations that I've done with Councilman Lombardi, we've traced it back to the stormwater pond for the hospice house. Now, we've been in contact with Mike and Berger, and we've been working towards like a solution to that. And Joe has, back in June, I think, Joe had submitted an updated stormwater pollution prevention plan for the site. The town retained my former firm, CPL, because CPL did the original drainage review. There was a comment letter issued a few days before Thanksgiving. We recently had a meeting a few weeks ago at the hospice house where we went over where we were, where we're going, and I know Joe Berger is going out to the site on Thursday to walk several of the downstream properties. I talked to the downstream property owners, obtained the permission for Joe to go there. So that's all set. So honestly, it would be tough to approve additional, even though that they need it, because of the fact of there is a downstream drainage issue. I don't think it's prudent for the planning board to approve additional parking until the additional parking is taken into account in this amended SWIP that we're waiting to receive. And we trust that they're going to go move ahead, and we're going to hopefully solve whatever the problem is, and we want to work together. So and this is an amended site plan, so it would have to go to county planning, which is not a big deal, but amended site plan approval also requires a public hearing. So we'd have to send out notices to the neighbors of the public hearing, and there will be well, I would anticipate that there will be folks showing up and expressing their concerns about flooding issues. So
Yep.
That's all I've got at the moment.
And for those who were not on the board, this application made its way through our board pretty much all during the COVID pandemic, when we were having all of our meetings via Zoom, and we had a lot of public comment on this application from the neighbors who were concerned about potential flooding. So it makes sense that at this point in time, when we're re-examining site plan, that the stormwater pollution prevention plan should also make sure that if it needs to be adjusted or takes into condition the additional
Count
spaces.
the additional parking
Yep,
spaces, that's right.
Yep, make sure everything works better, and then you're working this other issue to fix whatever's not working currently. Yes,
That's kind of it.
yep. Thank
And
you.
again, they need the parking.
Yep,
We want them to
yep.
have the parking, but
But I remember we were
it's just
discussing, we
not
didn't
proven.
know really how, there isn't another hospice house like this anywhere close to our area.
Correct.
So we weren't really sure. The closest ones, when we looked at it, were down on Long Island, which is a completely different area. So I remember we had the discussion about how do you gauge how much parking you might need. So we'll work together to get this done. Mr. Tuttle.
Are you
Oh, I'm sorry, Victoria.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't have much to add other than it would usually be considered a type 2 action because the area that they're adding is very minor. But that wouldn't preclude the board from looking at the impacts from this project. And I agree with Pete that you really can't approve this until the stormwater issues for the whole site are resolved, because adding impervious is just going to increase the problem. But I don't see an issue with classifying it and sending it out for comment tonight. I would just hold off setting the public hearing until we have more information.
That makes sense. We need to be able to answer any questions, and we won't have the answers just yet. Okay. Now, Mr. Tuttle.
All right.
Sorry.
It seems pretty clear cut. This is something you need, but there's an issue that has to be addressed first. The only other thing I would ask, I know, if I recall correctly, and I wasn't on the board when this was initially going through the process, but if I recall correctly, there were also some concerns about lights from neighbors at that time, and these parking spaces are more directly pointed at the neighboring residential properties. Is there a berm? Has there been consideration of headlights, basically?
There's a fence.
We put up a fence.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a
Fence
fence right.
between the headlights and the houses.
Okay.
And incidentally, we did make some changes with the lighting
Great.
when the complaints were received.
Right.
Yep.
So we didn't ignore it.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
no, absolutely.
I don't think anyone
100%.
was implying that.
Talking about headlights.
We're talking about headlights for cars that would be pointed.
On this side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And there's a fence there.
Well, there
Yeah.
was also some, once the lights went up, the neighbor on the north side
Yep.
had some issues, and they promptly, Mike promptly got his construction people to make some, adjustments to those,
They put some shielding or
or
something,
something,
right?
yeah. And
Correct. Very good. Good
And we-
memory.
And we just happened to have a lighting expert on the board at that time,
Yes.
I remember.
So, and, Mike is correct, there's a fence along that, like south side, so, like headlights,
And the
wouldn't
and the
be-
grade pitches up a little bit from
Yeah,
the
that's right.
from the street, from the driveway.
That was the purpose for the fence, was the lights.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. That's all I got then.
Okay, Mr. Waters.
No, it's just that to resolve the downstream issue, and then moving forward, thank you for suggesting even the pavers, for the parking spaces, so that water can naturally take its course.
Yes.
It will help on that, if that's the direction. So, at this time, that was it. Dylan hit the question with the headlights and other properties. So, thank you. That's it.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes, I was on the board at the time, and I remember during COVID, we were so happy to do that site walk.
Yes, we all got out of the house.
It was a mess at the time. We walked through those briar patches.
And
And I do remember
We got to talk to people
the,
without masks.
exactly, we were very excited to go on a site walk. And I do remember the fencing, and I also remember the neighbors already concerned about flooding. So I support the spaces, but we just have to make sure that we address the flooding issue for the neighbors.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver?
I too was on the board during that time, and I recall vividly the public comments regarding the drainage and downstream issues that they were concerned about. I also have no issue with adding the parking spaces, but we do need to resolve the flooding issues that occurred last year.
Thank you. Ms. Lee?
I'm going to second just that. I think the permeable space or the pavers for the spacing is a good idea, but I encourage you to get ahead of the existing flooding before we talk about parking spots.
Makes sense. Mr. Garcia?
I mean, I don't have much to add. I mean, the only thing I'm gonna say is, I mean, these cars are still gonna show up on the site, and they're gonna have to park, so.
I think they're-
Whether they put the spaces in or not, right?
Correct.
You've added the 6
Correct.
beds already.
John, can you use the mic, please?
You've added the 6 beds already, and, so I think they're gonna be parking on the grass.
They are. They do now.
So, I mean, I support the spaces. The spaces are on the opposite side of the retention pond, right?
Yeah, there's no space. There's no parking near the retention pond.
So, I mean, you have to resolve the issue with the neighbors though, so that's where I'm at. But I support the spaces.
Thank you.
Will the plan be updated to show the changes to the retention pond? That should be on the site plan, right, as part of this project?
Well, we had a meeting, as Peter says, last year, when the complaints started coming into us. And there was discussion about making some changes to the dam, holding back the water, which we did do, and then submitted a revised site plan to reflect the changes we made to the pond, hoping that that would suffice.
That was a SWIP though, so do
Yeah,
we
it
need
was a
to,
SWIP.
do
It
we need to
wasn't-
bring it
well-
all together onto this plan?
So, I mean, depending on what comes out of, the SWIP, if there's additional, like, improvements, things that have to be done, that's something that we'll have to, I say, cross that bridge when we come to it. But, if the improvements are minor, like, enough, maybe there doesn't have to be a site plan, like, amendment. We want to get to the point where we have, like, a solution to, the issue. And we don't want to make it, we don't want to make it difficult. We just want to get it fixed. So, I guess it's hard to go answer that now until we know what the, extent of any improvements are going to be.
Right.
So.
It could be a very simple, basic one, but, we've had ones where they've had to kind of rework the actual geography of it, so.
Right, I mean, if it's a simple fix, I still think it should be, for posterity purposes, we
Yes,
should
yes.
have an as-built or something on the plan.
Yes.
So when we go back and look, there should be some
Right.
kind of notation.
And I think, maybe because we've had this, like, discussion now here about the project, once we do know what's going to be done, and once it's approved by, the, consultants as far as, drainage fixes, we should probably just bring it back to the planning board and say, hey, if we work, like, together, here's what's going to be done, and then we all decide, like, collectively, okay, maybe you just do an as-built and put it in the file, or, it's enough that maybe we should do an amended site
That,
plan.
I think that's great, because we don't know at this time.
Right.
And then, once you do come to understand what needs to be updated, bring it back to us, and we can talk and figure out the best way to proceed. So that, TAD and future zoning administrators have what they need, and.
Sure, I understand.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Sorry to cause so much trouble.
You're not, it's not trouble, and as we.
I know.
As we predicted, this particular use has been perfect for the area, and such a needed service, so, we're so happy that, and it's such a beautiful site. So, we'll work together to get everything resolved and all the site plans updated, and.
Okay, good.
So that you can do everything you
I
need.
appreciate that.
But we do have a resolution tonight prepared to classify the action and refer the project back over to county planning.
Yes, I have that.
Yep.
So it's a resolution to classify the action and refer the project to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, Hudson Valley Hospice House, Site Plan Amendment, Resolution 2025-11, whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby, 1, classifies the project as a type 2 action under SECRA, 2, directs its secretary to refer the project to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239-M of the General Municipal Law.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
How many copies do you need do you just need one?
Yeah, just one, correct?
For circulation,
Yes.
to go to county. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Joe.
you.
Joe gave me an extra in anticipation.
Oh, nice, all
I need
right.
0.
You need 0. Great. Good night, thanks.
Good night.
Thank you, have a
Tom.
good evening. All right, let's see, next item on the agenda is Hudson Valley Chimney. Brandon.
Lost our signal.
Where'd our signal go? Uh-oh. Where's our tech support?
Cynthia, what'd you do now?
I'm not tech support.
It was working.
If not
It
you,
was
then who?
working.
Well, you
That
can
was-
talk us through it. We got
Yeah,
the
we
plan.
saw the
We
plan.
saw the plan. It's okay.
That one's fairly easy, you don't need that. Maybe for the next one, we can figure it out. For Hudson, I'm Brandon Petrella, Maury Architects, representing the ownership, Hudson Valley Chimney. It is very simple, it's a very minor modification. We're looking to add an overhead door on the north elevation of the facility. And that is the extent of the work. We'll be moving the gate. Right now, there's a gate to the rear access that's in that location. That'll be moving back towards the west a little bit to allow that overhead door to be installed. And that is the entire application.
Well, that was a nice, brief, and succinct overview. All right.
We didn't see any pictures. No pictures.
Here's a picture.
Look at those cars on it.
Here's the elevation. Wait, no, here's the new door. The
Okay,
new
so
door's on the north side, north,
yes.
Correct.
okay, northeast.
North-
On the east side of the north face.
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because it goes back.
right.
Anybody
Closer
wanna
to the
look at
Route
it?
9 side,
Nope.
so east.
Yeah, because there's two doors. Yep.
So Victoria, any comments on this?
Just because of its location on Route 9, it does need to go to county planning.
Ah, right.
It's type 2 because it's just a minor modification to an existing commercial facility, so we don't need to do seeker. So it really comes down to whether, this changes flow on the site or aesthetics that, you have any concerns about.
Okay, well, I'll ask my colleagues if they think this will change the flow on the site. Mr. Tuttle, any comments on this?
More just out of curiosity than anything. So you drive, why are cars in there? What's the?
So right now that space is actually empty. He's looking for tenancy. It used to be the showroom space for the chimney. So now he uses it for personal car collection. He just
okay.
stores his car in there. Yeah.
So, right, there's an existing garage door on the south side.
Correct.
right?
And there's actually, which I could show you if I had the drawing, but there's columns down the center.
Yep.
So if you come in one side, you can't cross into the other portion of the building because there's too many columns. So in order to get to the other side of the plan, so easterly side of the building, you need another overhead door. So that's the entire reason, just so we can use both sides.
So from that the south garage door, you can get to halfway through,
Halfway.
and then the north one will get you halfway through.
Right.
And so right now, this is his personal car collection there. And in the future, is there like a commercial purpose for the garage doors?
No,
Like, to
not at
even
this
be
time. I
there?
mean, if it depends on whatever tenant they got, right? So if there was some tenant who needed loading or delivery there, then they would be able to use either of those, and they may come across the same things. If you needed to get skids or something into those spaces, then you wouldn't be able to because of the column. So
Sure.
it certainly helps in the future as well.
Right. That's all I got.
Okay. Mr. Waters?
Actually, nothing at this.
Okay.
No.
Ms. Wasser?
No comment.
Okay. Mr. Oliver?
No comment.
Ms. Lee?
Also no comment.
This is right in your neck of the woods, right?
I know,
Yes.
it's neighbor.
And Mr. Gercio?
None for me.
Okay.
I have this one.
So we do have a resolution prepared to classify and refer.
And that's me.
That is you.
Okay. Resolution to classify the action and refer the project to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, Hudson Valley Chimney, Site Plan Amendment, April 2nd, 2025, Resolution 2025-12. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby, 1, classifies the project as a Type 2 action under seeker, and 2, directs its secretary to refer the project to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
He's here for He's here for the next.
I'm still
Oh, you
on the
staying.
next agenda.
Oh, okay. Like, wait.
I'm not
wait.
just hanging out.
Well, we can set a hearing if you'd like, if the
For
board
which?
is ready,
That would
for
be excellent.
Hudson Valley Chimney. for a month out.
So may I get a motion
Or
to set a public
2 weeks.
hearing for the May 2nd? No, May 3rd?
We could do it probably in 2 weeks if they respond, or we could do it for May 3rd.
Just put
I'm
a,
ready for, we can do it in April 16th, I have it prepared.
It's up to the
May
board.
7th or the 21st.
Or April,
April 16th?
16th
April
or May
16th.
7th.
It's right on page 10.
Yeah.
oh, there it is. May I get a motion to set a public hearing for the Hudson Valley Chimney site plan amendments for April 16th,
So moved.
2025?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
There you go. Public hearing is set, and
Perfect timing.
got it set. Oh, look at that. You can
Oh,
show
it's
it.
great to see everything happening out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, actual movement happening.
yeah.
Digging dirt.
That's right. Should I roll right in? We're good? Okay. So just to update the board, I'm not going to go through every slide here. We've seen them all several times. What I will kind of touch on, since the last time we were here, we had the tanks in their original location. You can see them here. They're sort of light green down towards the bottom of the page. They were all within the front yard setback. There's significant rock there. That was one of the reasons we wanted to have a site amendment. And not to go into everything, it almost became an issue because of the aquifer law. Turns out it's not an issue because of the aquifer law, so everything is good there. We are now coordinating with the health department on those final issues. So we have now moved, instead of having 3 tanks, a diesel back here, 2 fuel tanks here. We have 2 compartmentalized tanks that'll store diesel and the different grades of fuel. And instead of being entirely inside of a setback, we actually were partially within our rear setback instead. And instead of needing, you know, a 5 foot to the property line, we're now 10 foot. So that was good. We got that variance granted. We increased our impervious coverage slightly due to just expanding into this corner. We needed a variance extension or a variance increase for that, so we got that. But while we did that, we actually modified our scale variance to be less than it was before due to the fact that we reduced our building, we lost the 2nd story, and then we also have the diesel canopy that was added, but all of that offset was actually a lower scale variance. So this sort of summarizes that. So again, we got the rear yard setback for the 10 feet. Our impervious coverage, which was previously approved at 79.5, is now approved for 80.8, where 70% was permitted. And again, scale is now 8,500 when we were around 9,100, and 7,500 was permitted. So all of our variances are now squared away.
Great.
I won't go too much into the exterior. We talked about that last time. No real changes from the original, besides the size of the building, the dormer in the rear. What I will touch on, just spend a little bit of time on this, is the lighting, because I know it came back as a comment again. I know Bonnie has brought it up, so I don't want to make, I want to say that we've been paying attention to this. So just to reiterate, we have gone with a more residential style fixture. They're lower. They have better glare protection. They have no uplight, similar to the previous ones. We have the intensity diagrams here. I'd just like to remind the board that we actually still, before we even came into the board, we actually reduced, this is our newly proposed lighting calc. Our original approved lighting plan had a maximum of 21-foot candles, and now it's a maximum of 16.2, where it was a minimum under the canopy of 5-foot candles, and now it's a minimum of 2.7. We've actually made it a lot more uniform and a lower light under the canopy. One of the things that I'd like to, and I know it keeps coming up that 16 number is still very, very high. It's very high, everybody keeps saying. So we took the light meter out and we went to several fuel stations in the area. And I don't want anybody to get in trouble because I did this. So we'll start here with the first one is just south of here by Twilliger Road. It is the one, it's the Gulf. Yep. So what I did is I took a shot at the perimeter of the canopy and I took a shot inside of the canopy. I did them pretty randomly. I didn't find the highest one. I didn't these are cherry pick shots, but these aren't the highest one that I got either. So underneath the canopy, there are 26.7 foot candles. At the edge of the canopy, they're 11.3. I want to remind you, we're 3 and 16. So let's go to what is probably the worst offender. Mobile at the at the corner of East Market and Route 9G. That's now the Chestnut that just got redone. 52.7 underneath their canopy. Perimeter, 45 foot candles.
Wow.
Where's this at?
That's not what we were
And we were worried about the squirrel.
I know.
Hey, Brandon, we have a job opening here for Assistant Zoning Administrator, if you want to apply.
I said I'm not getting anybody in trouble. I'm burning these when I leave. So then, so just south of us, I think is actually a very successful gas station. I think we would all agree that the Sunoco at Parker is a pretty successful version of lighting.
End of Pinewoods Road on Route 9.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Under the canopy, 33 foot candles. At the edge, 15. Speedway, another.
Something I would note here, so for one thing, when we get these, the light readings are from the ground level, and it does make a difference.
I
right?
took all
So-
of mine at 3 feet, around 3 feet.
So,
yeah.
like, I would also suggest that, yes, these are all really, really high, and that's part of why we talk about it and focus on it as much as we do is because it has been an issue.
So-
And the third thing I would say is that the property that you're working with is uniquely rural compared to these and has no other lighting really around it in the same way that these do.
I understand
It's-
that point. Yeah, I get that. Actually, our foot candles are at the 3 foot mark.
Okay,
All the foot,
great.
and mostly in general, studies are done. They're not at grade. They're supposed to be above, unless you're doing interiors, which are normally on surfaces. Generally.
I've spoken to a couple lighting people about it who've told me different.
Now, ours are
Yours
at
are
the
3,
3 foot
got
point.
it.
So
Yep.
if we're going to compare, so that's why I took these at around that mark. And then finally, I think Speedway is actually pretty good as well, and it's at 16 and 6, which is pretty close to what we have. And I know we're saying that there is light along those roadways, and we don't have light along the road, but I mean, I think that in keeping with some that we can, I would argue are pretty successful, the Sunoco and the Speedway, and we're within those realms. So I think I have comfort there. I also, I know personally, if it's dim, I'm not going to stop at a fuel station. I'm just not, and I think most people won't. You know, you want to feel safe underneath that canopy.
Not that one. In the middle of nowhere.
Thank you, that was above and beyond.
Well, yeah, you did your homework.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, appreciate that. And it does, I think, if people have gone to all of those at various times, would resonate with what you feel when you walk, when you're there at night.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for the record, I also took a foot candle reading of the parking lot here. That's 1 foot candle. That's how
Okay.
dark 1 foot candle
Yes.
is. Just so we're
Yeah.
aware. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to pump gas at
No,
1 foot candle.
no,
Right.
I can barely see where I'm going.
Yep, thank you for that.
Right.
Okay, well, let's take a swing around. Oh, I'll come back to Ms. Moss.
No, I'm good. I've done the exact same thing. I've been to
But-
most of those stations as well as this parking lot. And I'll just with the light meter.
Yep. Okay, so Ms. Moss, any comments on this?
No.
Okay, Ms. Franson.
I would just say thank you for doing all that research. And the one thing I am curious about, so in modeling, when you're doing the lighting, because I think to Tillen's point, I just looked at some lighting, and the lighting levels are measured at 1 foot. So I'm just curious, because you did it at 3, your actual model for your site plan, is that at 3 or was that at 1 foot?
I'm pretty positive it's at 3 because we had a discussion about it. If I'm incorrect, I will certainly, I'll send an email out, but I'll double check. I'm almost positive it's 3, which is again why I kind of went waist height everything.
Yeah.
If it had been 1, I would have tried to get down low.
That was the other thing I was curious. So if you did it at 3, did a couple times you do it like at 1 or on the surface level just to see what the difference would be in the reading?
I didn't, just so that we had a comparison with what
Okay.
my map was.
Yeah, I was
So-
curious if there was a big difference or not.
Yeah, I would have to, I honestly don't know the answer to that, how much
Okay.
you lose in 2 foot of height or not. I
Okay.
really don't know.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Sotero?
No,
No
comment.
approval.
No? Okay. Ms. Polidoro?
No comments.
Okay. Mr. Tuttle?
I won't. I promise I won't. I'm not going to talk about lighting anymore.
No,
To your point, it does change quite a bit when you go up and down. But it's yeah, I lied, I guess. But but it's also like, you know, this stuff is complicated. More important than that is what's the surface that's underneath of it. If it's light concrete, it looks far more bright than if it's a darker macadam, right? Like there's a lot of things that go into this. I said in prior meetings, and I'll say it again, like, this is one of the best lighting plans for a gas station I've ever seen in this county. It's great. I still wish it was lower, but I understand that I'm in the minority on that one, and that's fine, right? So good job with it, frankly. Like, I understand the
Thank you.
different pressures that you've got with it, and yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate the critique. And I completely understand your point as well.
Thank you. Mr. Waters?
Yeah, thank you for the fact-finding and allowing us to see it from, you know, what the study that you did, the little study that you did. So, you know, I'm perfectly okay with it because it seems like you're within the margins. You're actually better than most of the places that we're looking at. So I have no issues with it. And thank you for all the work on the tanks and all of that and getting the job going. So.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. It's going to be
Ms.
an asset.
Wasser?
Yeah, I want to reiterate my thanks. This is getting close to my neck of the woods, and I'm waiting for this to be built and done.
Yes.
So when do you begin demo?
So
Building demo and
yeah, we would
construction?
probably see if we could get a demolition permit while we're finalizing the construction documents for our actual build. As you mentioned, they're out there working now, trying to get the old oil tanks and everything with the DEC squared away. And as that happens, we probably want to demo the building as soon as we can too. Get the site cleaned up and prepped for actual construction.
Great. Mr. Oliver?
Thank you also. I think it really helps the board and myself see things that we're used to seeing, in relation to these foot candles versus seeing hot spots and numbers on a chart or a map. So thank you for doing that. It's very helpful.
Yes.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
That's all.
Ms. Lee?
No comments, but thank you for your diligence.
Mr. Garcia?
There's nothing else to add. No comment.
I agree. Will you be sending that presentation? Because the next gas station, I'm going to be pulling that out and saying.
We'll all be with light
Really?
meters.
No.
Yeah, I mean, the town could invest in one. Like I said, I don't get anybody in trouble.
Well, we'll use your numbers. We already have them now for all the gas stations.
Exactly, yes. We can say, wait a second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, so I think you've heard some very positive comments. Really do appreciate you working to get those numbers down and then also to comparatively show us how that works. I think the Speedway, even though it's in the town of Poughkeepsie and stuff, and there are some streetlights there, is one of the darkest.
It's fairly dark.
It's pretty dark
actually,
there.
I wasn't even going to stop at that one, but I noticed, I was like, man, it's so pitch black out here, and it felt very dim. And I'll be honest, I almost didn't stop there because I was like, man, those numbers are going to be really, really low. And when they turned out to be very close to ours, I'm like, well, this is a great example of a successful gas station. And it doesn't feel like once you're
there,
it feels a little dim when you're out, but once you're under the canopy, it feels very comfortable. I think. So.
Yep, and that's the whole point is for you to be able to be in there and see what you're doing.
Right.
But not to...
But not glare.
Yes, exactly. So thank you. So we do have... we do have a resolution, and we can waive the public hearing for this. So if I can get a motion to waive the public hearing for
So
this.
moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So then, we have a resolution granting for amended site plan approval prepared.
I have that. Resolution granting amended site plan approval, Hyde Park Quick Stop Site Plan Amendment, Resolution Number 2022-10I. Whereas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby grants amended site plan approval to the project as depicted on the amended site plan set and authorizes the chair or her authorized designee to sign the amended site plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. Be it further resolved that the applicant will need to reapply to the Planning Board to receive approval of any and all signage for the project. Be it further resolved that prior to the zoning administrator authorizing issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall provide the Planning Board with a PDF of the fully signed site plan set. Be it further resolved that prior to the zoning administrator authorizing the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the project, the applicant shall provide evidence of recordation of the approved stormwater easement with the Dutchess County Clerk.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
everybody.
Do you
Thank
know,
you.
do you know what gas station's going in there?
I don't, and that's why we don't have the signage package. We just
That
don't
makes
have
sense.
that brand yet, and there hasn't been decided, so once it is, that's when we'll come back with the signage package.
Thank you so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Anderson Center, Dellenwood residents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Brian
Nice
Watts,
to see you
Stays
back.
Decosa.
Yep.
Yes, good to see the board. New faces, some of the same.
Yes, yes. We like to evolve.
How do you like the view from that chair?
It's a great team. It's a great team here. So, you are here for an extension.
An extension, yes.
We're a little late, but better late than never, right?
We had, we had in our records that it was a year approval.
Oh, okay.
I think we were looking at the section of the code that site plan,
Okay,
a signed site plan, I think it was, is a year.
okay. Can you give us a little update on what's going on at the site?
The site, we're still working, the site, nothing's happening at the site itself yet. We're working with the Board of Health on the Board of Health. I actually, just before I left work, I sent everything up to DEC, digital copy they requested. So I know they are working on the updated Speedies permit for that. Everything went to the Board of Health. Once we have their approval, they didn't have too many comments. Some of the comments were from the manufacturer, and the manufacturer from the wastewater treatment plant has just taken a long time to get submittals together to us. We reviewed them, we had a couple comments, took some time to get them back, a couple months. Come back to us, took a couple months, get everything out, and time flies.
It really does, especially if it takes a couple months here, a couple months there.
I think we started in February with them. I got the first submittal package back in October. And then I had a couple, there's a very long lead time for them. And the actual construction is a long lead time as well. They're waiting for, they have issues with certified welders, certain materials, hard to come by. So.
Wow. So this is going to get extended to May 31st, 2025.
No pressure, huh?
Not just, just a little.
Again, everything went out to the DEC and the Board of Health, Dutchess County Wastewater Authority. So hopefully in the next week or two, I can have an update, and I'm hoping they don't have any more comments, and then we'll be set from that end. And that was really, I think,
Hopefully you're really close.
one of the largest outstanding comments, I think, was the Board of Health, just because of the plant.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, worst case scenario, if he doesn't meet the timeline, he comes back in and we reapprove the site plan and it'll start the clock all over
Yep,
again.
yep.
As long as there are
we'll
no
figure it
changes.
out, don't worry.
I'm gonna have to wear my humble suit and
No, we like you.
These agencies take quite a while to work through.
it is, it's hard sometimes.
Right.
Well,
Yep.
probably should get one.
So, right, you also have, Cynthia was reminding us, you also have a variance that will probably need to be extended if you don't meet the May 31st deadline.
Yes. And that was actually before May 31st, if I remember correctly. May 20-something, right?
I thought that was the end of May, and we had in June. It's
I mean,
sooner
you can-
rather than later, I know
You can check your
that.
records, but it's
Double
soon,
check
so.
that. Well, we see how good my records were. Here I am.
Yes, but that's a good heads up to double-check the variance, because that also might expire.
May 22nd.
Yes, that's what I remember.
It's Pete's
I
birthday.
just thought,
Who's part?
ooh. All right,
I don't
let's-
need anything, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
You're not getting anything.
So I'm just going to see if there's any additional comments. Tad, any comments?
No.
Bonnie? Pete? Victoria?
No.
Okay. Mr. Gercio?
No.
Ms. Lee?
No comment.
Mr. Oliver?
No comment.
Ms. Wasser?
No comment.
Mr. Waters?
No comment.
Mr. Tuttle?
No comment.
Okay. We do have a resolution granting retroactive site plan extension. And I
I've got
believe
this one.
Gigi? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Resolution granting the retroactive 180-day extension of time to satisfy the conditions of site plan approval for the Anderson Center of Autism, the Linwood Site Plan, April 2nd, 2025, resolution number 202356C. Whereas, now therefore it be resolved. The planning board hereby grants the applicant a retroactive 180-day extension of time to satisfy the conditions of amended site plan approval for the project to and including May 31st, 2025.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, good to see you as
Thank
always.
you.
I hope
You as
you
well.
hear quickly from your agencies.
I'll just keep hoping.
Yes, yes,
Thank you
And don't forget about that other variance.
for the ZBA.
yes,
Again, that was for the wall in the front, everyone.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is screening for an oil tank on Main Street. And I think at this point we are done with our consultants, I
Yeah.
believe.
Clearly.
They're
Clearly Pete's
packing it up.
No, I was actually going to ask, because I think Relly is at the very end. I didn't know if we had to talk.
No, it's not,
It's
It's
just
actually-
for site
it's
visit?
in red.
Okay,
it's just a sidewalk reminder.
okay.
Yes, for the 12th.
I just want to make sure. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Have a great night.
Yep, you too. So the next item on the agenda is Hyde Park 88 LLC, looking to screen an exterior oil tank. I believe
Me,
Mr. Gercio has this one.
yes. Site plan waiver, Hyde Park 88 LLC, 24 Main Street.
Oh,
Date, April 2nd, 2025, resolution 2025-01. Whereas requesting waiver of site plan has been made to the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board by Hyde Park 88 LLC, February 4th, 2025, for property located 24 Main Street, Hyde Park. Whereas the application is to obtain approval for the exterior oil tank on the commercial property, and whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board hereby waives site plan requirements for the file entitled Hyde Park 88 LLC per the request to the Planning Board on February 4th, 2025.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, is phantom fireworks.
Oh,
I always
Wow,
love when they
summer's
come in, it
coming.
means that summer is coming.
where it always is.
So, yes,
Down on
for
nine.
those of you, this is where they sell fireworks and sparklers at the old Coco's, kind of in between Coco's
Right.
and the Hyde Park Beverage Center. This is and I believe Mr. Tuttle has this.
Oh, I do, yep. Phantom Fireworks Eastern Region, Gardner Van Valkenburg, site plan waiver, date April 2nd, 2025, resolution 2025-14. Whereas, therefore be it resolved that the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board hereby waives site plan requirements for the proposed temporary change as described in the building permit application received by the Building Department on March 5th, 2025, and per the request of the Planning Board dated March 26th, 2025.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, prime storage signage. This will be nice.
Okay, that's, I have this one.
Thank you.
Resolution recommendation for issuance of a sign permit pursuant to Sound Code Section 108-24.3A4D, April 2nd, 2025. Prime storage replacement freestanding sign. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved, the planning board hereby recommends the zoning administrator issue the sign permit for prime storage based on the sign permit application submitted by GNS Group Limited for the property owner, Prime Storage, on March 24th, 2025, as amended March 28th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Hyde Park liquor and wine signage.
Can I ask a question on this one?
Yes.
real quick? So I know they're switching the light up, and the package that we got for this waiver had a whole bunch of stuff on the lighting bar that they're going to use. I'm sorry for being the lighting guy at this meeting here. It's not the end all be all, but it includes it could be rainbow, it could be a variety of things that these LED light bars can do. And I know they verbally said 3,000, but is there anything in here that actually verifies that this will be a white 3,000K light on the sign?
When I picked this to print, I printed all this extra stuff.
Okay.
But the actual image was the 3,000, and this was picked because the initial was 5,000.
Okay,
And we worked together to find one that was warmer and that
Yep.
the 3,000 Kelvin.
Yeah, I just wanted to check and see if there's anything in this
You can add language at the end. I mean,
Have it here, the shielded bar.
I was saying, we might want to actually state that, yeah.
Hereby recommends the zone issue the sign permit for the Hyde Park liquor and wine submitted by Dallywell Properties on April 2nd, 25, which includes, what you want to say, a 3,000K light bar?
Which includes
I
what?
think you talk about the light bar here, we could add it there.
Okay.
Whereas.
And maybe white, so it's not color.
Yeah.
Which includes what?
Well, actually, I think they're
You
talking.
can put it here or there, but just indicating that it's.
The sign is proposed to be downlit by a shielded bar with
Maximum.
max 3,000K.
3,000K.
Can I read
Okay.
that one? Then I could read that whereas, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know what the temperature of the different colors, like what would pink?
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure that out another time.
He's not going to make me
Okay.
someone to
As long as 3,000K is white, warm
He's
white.
very excited. They've been there a year. They're super happy. He's not looking for a pink sign, so I think we're ready. Otherwise, he would have had it pink already.
Sounds good.
So Gabby, the temperature of the light actually determines its color.
Right.
So the 3,000 is like a warm white, and then as you get higher, it gets cool blue. But
All right.
I don't know what the number would be for different.
But 3,000 is the number we're looking for.
Yes, that's the number recommended by Greenway Guides and other
Okay.
things.
So we don't need to put that in here, though, 3,000?
You can say which is to be downlit by
Yeah.
by a 3,000K light bar.
Maximum, yeah.
Downlit by a 3,000.
Maximum 3,000.
Lit by
Yeah, maximum. I thought we
3,000
just added that.
K max.
Light bar.
Got it.
Okay. And with a shield bar. Right?
With shield bar.
With shield bar. Yeah, I just have.
I think that's good.
Okay. Okay. You ready for me, or?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, I'm
Yep.
sorry. Resolution recommendation for issuance of a sign permit pursuant to Town Code Section 108-24.3A4D. Hyde Park Liquor and Wine, Resolution 2024-34, whereas a sign is proposed to be downlit by a 3,000 maximum light with a shield bar replacing the uplighting, and whereas, be it resolved, the planning board hereby recommends the zoning administrator issue the sign permit for Hyde Park Liquor and Wines as submitted by Dallywell Properties LLC on April 2nd, 2025, attached hereto.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion carries.
And they may be the same family as the Quick Stop. Just saying.
Okay, so,
That's also the Dolly Wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We got these.
next item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Bye.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. This has been a very efficient meeting.
Very efficient, thank you.
Pretty good with that call.
Can I go on that?